Welcome to What I Wish I Knew About Studying Business, presented by the Monash Business School. This is a podcast that is going to help you understand and answer all the big questions that are at the top of your mind about the transition from high school to university. My name is Bryce Leske, and I'm here with my co-host, Alec Renehan, and we are the co-founders of Equity Mates Media. Alec, how are you going?
I'm very good, Bryce. Loving this series so far. Great to be with you again.
Alec and I met at uni, and we look back on the time with some pretty fond memories. We made a lot of friends that are still lifelong. We attempted to start a business, and we had a lot of travel opportunities. But look, it wasn't all smooth sailing. We obviously felt the nerves and the trepidation about making that transition from high school to university, and I'm sure it is perhaps how you are feeling today. In this podcast, What I Wish I Knew, we're going to answer all the important questions that you might have. We're going to be hearing from some current students and some students that have just left and are in their first jobs. We're going to be talking about the transition programs. We're going to be talking about the gap year that you never had. And we're going to talk about the entrepreneurial opportunities available at the school. You'll hear things you might not have ever considered, things that you've thought a lot about, and also things that we wish we knew. In today's episode, we're going to chat with a former Monash Business School student about the opportunities for entrepreneurial thinking at Monash and his journey in launching an app, among other things. So it is our absolute pleasure to welcome Aleks Corke to the show. Aleks, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Now, Ren, before we jump into Alex's story, we do want to kick off with a bit of a game.
Yeah, Alex, throughout this series, we've been playing a game of Monash Best Of to help prospective Monash students figure out, places they should be going on campus, things they should be aware of. So we've got a few categories, and we want to know what you think the best place on Monash is. Any campus.
Any campus? Okay.
Any campus. So we'll start with, where's the best place to get a coffee at Monash?
For me, two options. They're both on the same campus, and they're within, I would say, 50 meters of each other. One of them's called Grafali's. The other one's it's colloquially known as the Choke, or we all call it the Choke, but it's actually known as Artichoke and Whitebait. Cheap coffee, good vibes, great people, and if you go there enough, they'll get to know your order, which I love. They see you from far away and they'll start.
Okay.
So, what's your order?
Me, soy latte, just plain and simple for a Melburnian.
Nice.
A little bit of a twist, as always.
Nice. Good coffee down here. We are from Sydney, so it's nice to have a good coffee this morning.
It is.
I'm happy with that. All right, so best meal on campus?
I can't go past a packet of hot chippies from Neptune's fishery down at Clayton campus in the campus centre. That's my go-to. It's 5 o'clock, you're doing your study. You may be hanging out with a few mates. You've got one more thing to do. Just go smash I think that's $2 packet of hot chippies at Neptune's with a bit of tomato sauce.
Nice.
So good.
We'll be
Best
heading
chips
there
in Melbourne,
after
I reckon.
this.
It's so good.
What about the best place to study at Monash?
I'm a big fan of the Matheson Library or even the Caulfield Library. There are some really good little nooks up if you go into the up into the actual book sections. There are really good study areas, which is nice and quiet. You can just be by yourself, get a lot of work done. Otherwise, every now and then you might be able to sneak into a room, get some stuff done there. It's really easy to just kind of find a good place, what works for you. I know that a lot of people just like chilling out in the gardens or the parks and getting some work done there. There are so many different places across all the campuses that are really, really good to kind of chill and study at.
Nice. Well, sticking on spots, everyone has a secret spot at uni where they do whatever they want, time out, whatever it may be. It's not going to be a secret if you're going to reveal it on a podcast, but where was your secret spot?
My secret spot is a little nook in campus centre at Monash Clayton. It's a little room. It's called the Prod Room. And you down a hallway, around a corner. You've got to go past. If you work out where the Choke is, you go past the Choke. You go all the way down past this grate, and it's a little corner. And there's often 5 or 6 people there. Best people you'll ever meet. It's called the Prod Room. Love nice couches, power. Chill, sit, have a great chat, have a laugh, have a cup of tea. It's so good there.
Awesome.
Nice. Well,
awesome.
It's not a secret anymore, but
Not a
we
secret
appreciate
anymore.
you giving it up.
No, but I welcome people to try and find it and meet the people that are also there because they're pretty cool guys.
Nice. Well, Alex, today's episode, we really want to talk about entrepreneurship. You've had some great entrepreneurial experiences at Monash. But before there, we want to start with your background, get to know you a little bit. So let's start with school. Where did you go to school?
I'm from a little place on Chapel Street called St. Mickey's, St. Michael's Grammar, right near the Astor Theatre. It's a bit of a kind of artsy kind of Chapel Street school. You'll see the kids, like if you're from Melbourne, you'll see all the students with their kind of their white t-shirts and like a little bit of a edgy, alternative, ambivalent attitude towards life.
So no blazers?
No blazers.
Those hats.
At the moment, mullets everywhere. I'm sure that's the same in Sydney. Little skunk tails. Rats, a lot of them. But I come from there, so I'm one of them. I can't kind of distance myself too much. But yeah, I was there from like kindergarten. So my dad taught there and I was there for like 15 years. And then I spent 3 years in Vietnam. In the middle. I'm in Ho Chi Minh City at a international British school, which was really fun and really different. Got to meet a lot of different people, and now I've got like housemates or people that I can go and spend time with around the world now. I mean, pending COVID restrictions and all that kind of stuff hasn't been that useful to me yet, but like end of the year, hopefully I'll make my way somewhere.
Yeah. So thinking back at your time at St. Mickey's, you've just finished your last day of school. You're thinking ahead to what's next. How did that moment feel? What was going through your head at the time?
It was a bit of a scary one. I remember like there was a lot of even coming up to like the end of high school, you kind of go, am I making? You kind of know you've got some options laid down. You've got your preferences set out for where you might want to go into tertiary education. And but there's always that little bit of like, have I gone to the right spot? Have I made the right choice? Am I going to get what I want out of this? How do I kind of get the most out of where I'm going or where I think I'm going? What's the risk here? And yeah, have I done the right thing by myself? So definitely like a little element of fear as you go into that very last kind of couple of weeks and even post exams, those last few months and stuff whilst you're waiting.
Well, take us into that decision. I think a lot of people listening are going through that right now. You talking about that definitely reminds me of me going through that decision. How did you decide on Monash? What was the thinking and how did you ultimately come to that decision? I
had a bit of a game plan. So I had like a 2-year triage and testing phase for my I went quite serious with it. I spent like the first year, around every August, all of the year 11s and 12s go to the different campuses, go to the open days, and I really encourage any prospective university student to go look at the campuses and talk to people and really understand what the university's about, what it looks like, whether you like the people that are there, whether you like the courses, because you really understand in that one-to-one situation whether it's a right fit for you. So I went to all of the universities in year 11 and I dressed and I presented myself. It's very weird looking back on this. I dressed and presented myself how I thought a university student from that university would dress and behave.
Okay.
And I tried to fit myself into what I thought, my classic marketing student, what I thought the brand was and what I thought the vibe was and the relationship between the university and the student was. I did that for year 11, learnt about all the different courses, and at that time I wasn't really sure where I wanted to go. And then I did the same thing in year 12, but I dressed as myself. And I came as myself, and I just went, okay, this is who I am. I'm going to be as kind of aggressively, maybe not the right word, but aggressively myself, as much me as I could be in that situation, and really kind of push down those barriers between myself and the university. And at the end of the day, that's what I was looking for, that fit. And for me, Monash, there was a couple of options for me, but for me, Monash, at the end of the day, offered me, I felt a lack of pretense and a opportunity to engage in a range of different topics and skill sets and learn a bunch of different skill sets that were all, at the time, I thought valuable and still are really, really valuable to me.
So when you were in year 11, you came to Monash, you dressed as what you thought a Monash student was. How did you dress?
What did I dress?
Yeah.
I had a pair of, and funnily enough, I'm actually still wearing them. I had a pair of my R.M. Williams. I had, I think, blue jeans on.
Looking like
Look
Ren
at it.
right
Yeah,
now.
you guys are
Ren's
right.
got
I
RMs.
actually reckon about that blue shirt. And I think I had a hoodie or something as well. And it was, honestly, I think I'd seen a billboard, like an out-of-home billboard ad for a Monash student. I think they had a campaign. Oh, am I going to be... Remember, it was like Where Brilliant Begins, and there was like a student in it, and one of them, and I was like, I'm going to dress like that, and I'm going to see whether that sits and whether that matches. Yeah, that was my look for Monash.
And do you feel like it, now that you've studied at Monash, do you feel like that look was correct, or?
Look, I think that was very naive of me to assume that everyone dresses and looks and behaves the same. I mean, at the end of the day, I came as myself, which is like I basically dress the same way as I do now as I did that many years ago. And the reality is that regardless of who you are and what your behavior is, I think that what a Monash student shares is a set of values and an interest in learning much more and in engaging with interesting ideas and interesting people much more than they care about the costume or the badge or the prestige or whatever it is. And that's why I came to Monash, because I cared more about what I was studying and what value it was gonna have, or the impact of that study on me. Yeah.
Well, we've spoken about your last day at school. Now let's turn to you. You've chosen Monash. You've got your first day at uni. Talk us through that. Any memorable moments?
I remember I went to the same introductory lecture twice.
Nice.
Why was that?
I had them. So I did a double degree, and they give you a time plan of your, like, for each degree. They give you like an understanding, like this. Here's how to get started at Monash Uni.
Yeah.
And I took both of them, and I realized that they'd given them both to me basically to say, hey, these ones line up, don't go to them. Like, here's your combined plan. But I took them as two separate ones. So from like 9:15 to 9:45, I went to Welcome to Monash, and then from 9:45 to 10:30, I went to Welcome to Monash.
You would have known where everything was.
Well,
day
the
one.
thing was, I learned a fact in the first one, which was like, how many millions of dollars does Monash spend on their? I think it was $10 million. How many millions of dollars does Monash spend on their library books every year, or something like that?
Yeah.
And then the second round, I answered the question, and the woman she was just like, "Wow, that's so amazing! You're so switched on." And I didn't say anything. I was just like,
nice.
"That's
Kicking goals day one."
Kicking goals day one. Aleks Corke, nice to meet you. But yeah, it was a bit of a whirlwind those first few weeks. You meet a lot of people. You walk in day one, and there's like the big kind of fetes, or all of the stalls are set up, and I encourage any new student to sign up to as many of those different clubs as possible. You don't have to engage with all of them, but when you meet them and you sign up for them and you get those, you just end up with opportunities to engage with people, and I think that'll help you find your pack, and find your people, and whether they're in your course or not in your course. I really think that's a really great opportunity. You get to go to cool parties if you want to. You get to go on cool camps if you want to, if that's your vibe. But at the end of the day, it just gives you some breadth of different people to engage with, different subjects they're all studying, and it really helps you find your settle you in to the world. Monash is any university is such a huge group of people all around the same age, all doing very different subjects and very different courses. And you find yourself, if you don't, I think the best way to ensure that you feel settled is to ensure that you've got lots of different people that you're engaging with. So you're not seeing the same people in the tutes and the same people in the lectures, and you end up with what you would perceive as a very narrow group of people is actually like what you might see as 50 people each week becomes potentially like 10,000 people. So
I think that's such an important thing to call out, because for a lot of people at school, the extracurricular activities are pretty defined. It's, like after school, there's sport on this day and stuff like that. And you get to uni and you really got to take the initiative yourself and sign up and actively go to things. And I definitely remember my first year at uni, I didn't. And then second year, I was like, oh, I'm going to take that step. And you just meet so many people, and it really enhances the experience.
Really, really. It's and you learn so much as well. Like I spent hundreds of hours in this one club, Monash University Student Theatre. I spent like years of time in those places, and I've got friends now that I've known for that many times who are still my friends, who I still catch up with. They're all overseas doing fantastic stuff, and I still hang out with them and meet them and call them. So yeah, it's really, really important, and I'm really glad I didn't sign up for that club until second year uni, same as you. And one of my classmates from a shoot dragged me there. She was like, "You need to meet these people. These are really cool people. You'll love them." So, very grateful to her for pulling me in, and very much encourage anyone, even if you're like, "Oh, I'm not sure," just go and see what the vibe, see if you like it. You'll meet different people, and even if you don't necessarily gel with those different people, whether they're not exactly your pack or whether you find your pack somewhere else, meeting those people in general is a really useful tool. Like really great to have those connections or to engage with people of different groups. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Alex, before we move to chat about the entrepreneurship side of things that you were lucky enough to experience at university, what did you study, and briefly, what are you doing today?
So I studied 3 separate things. So I studied a double degree, Bachelor of Marketing and a Bachelor of Arts majoring in theatre. And then I also studied a Diploma of Languages in French. So 3 separate degrees, all kind of squished into 4 or 5 years-ish.
Nice.
And then, so I did that. The idea being that, and here's the spiel, marketing is just storytelling with extra steps. Theatre is all about storytelling, and the kind of marketing I love the most is experiential marketing, and digital experiences and that kind of stuff as well. So, theatre just teaches you how to tell a story. Marketing tells you how to tell that same story with additional, almost like scientific strategy, as it were. So, and then the French was fun. I was doing it in year 12. I just enjoyed it. I thought that it was an interesting subject matter. It was an extra, I think, tacking on the diploma was something like an extra 6 months, 1 semester. I was like, yeah, no worries. Let's just go for it. And that's really easy to do as well at Monash. You can just be like, hey, I want to do this. And they're like, yeah, sure. There you go. Tick a box. And then I've got a diploma as well. I kept being able to learn French. It's a bit of breadth study, which is really easy. And so if you are doing stuff one of the things that I was really worried about at high school was like, I have all of these different things that I really like to do. I have all of these different areas that I really like to study. What do I do? If I stop studying, I'm going to lose it, and I don't want to lose it. So French was one of those things where I just felt like I really enjoyed it in high school. I felt like I wanted to keep doing it. I really like France. I really like the language. So I just wanted to keep doing it. And Monash was grateful enough to be like, yeah, sure, no worries.
Nice.
Yeah.
So let's move to the entrepreneurship side of Monash Business School, because I think a lot of people dream of starting a business now, and I definitely know when Bryce and I were at university, we had some shocking ideas to start businesses.
Hey.
One, we were going to import a container of secondhand clothes from Europe and then try and sell them. Luckily, that never got off the ground. But you not only got some entrepreneurial experiences, but you actually got to help launch an app.
Yeah.
So the app was called Cheer Me. So can you tell us that story and a little bit about what the app is?
Yeah, so sure. So at the end of my time at Monash, got to the end of that last year, and I was like, I want to start doing some stuff that, it was at the end of my year, and I had spent a bunch of time doing in the theatre world, doing productions, producing lots of different things, building in very small periods of time these great experiences for people. And I really wanted to continue that, but down a marketing strain. So I started exploring internships through Monash University, reaching out to all of the wonderful people that work at the Monash Business School, kind of knocking on the door saying, hey, I've got this skill set, I've got these interests, who can you connect me with that will help me kind of not only improve myself, but give me something practical to do. and engage with. And I was lucky enough to be introduced to Cal and Eric, one of them from Cal from TBWA at the time, social media manager at TBWA, which is a big advertising agency, and Eric, who works at a digital company called Narrative as a designer. And they were building an app called Cheer Me. Cheer Me, in plain and simple terms, is a app designed to encourage activity. Physical activity. It was conceived and designed during COVID, where one of the biggest issues that people were facing was a lack of motivation to do things, in simple terms. So we wanted to build an app, build and launch an app that encouraged people to, motivated people to go out and just do simple things. It was funded by Launch Victoria, which is part of the Victorian government. So we got funding to build this app that kind of turned the way that we perceive regular social media, the social media world, something that is a bit competitive, bit comparative. You often scroll through Instagram and you go, even in the back of your head going, oh, that person, how do I look like that person? How do I behave like that person? Is this am I doing enough? Am I meeting the standards? You even go on like apps that are designed specifically for physical activity, like apps that are designed for physical activity, like Strava, where it's like, yes, you're riding and yes, you're engaging with mates and posting what you're doing, but it's competitive. You're one-upping each other.
Competitive and very comparative.
Yes. Which we wanted to avoid. So we wanted to build this, this essentially like you create squads of your mates. And I always likened it to, I don't know if you guys ever did this as kids, the MS Reading Challenge.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if the listeners at home will remember what this is, but basically you'll be like, I'm going to read 10 books, and you would go around your neighborhood, you'd go up and down the street, and you'd knock on Polly's door or Frank's door or whoever it was down the road, and go, hey, Polly, I'm going to read 10 books. Will you give me 50 cents a book, or will you help me? And it might be just words of encouragement, but the idea was that you're raising money for MS. This in a weird way is a similar thing where you're going, in the next month or so, I'm going to run a kilometer. I want to challenge myself to run a kilometer. Here are the steps I'm going to take. And then what are you guys going to do you get a group of people together online and you say, how are you guys going to support me? And it might be as simple as them just cheering you on, might be posting photos. They might decide to do it with you. And it's there's no tracking of like kilometers run. There's no like, milestones. There's no award system in that general sense. It's just about you sharing achievement and encouraging people to work to motivate each other to do good things for each other. It was really, really great thing to work on. It's a very positive goal, I think, for a entrepreneurial endeavor or a social media app in general for a startup. So it was a wonderful thing to be given the opportunity to work on. I worked mainly on their marketing side. I did a bunch of brand stuff for them, built a tone of voice document, assisted in the overall launch, did social media strategies, built a ton of little bits for them. So as the app was being finalized and we were feeding into the look and feel and the interactivity of the app as a whole, we were ensuring that when it was launched and as we were launching it, that it had it was a whole, and it felt all that tone, that story that I've just shared with you came through immediately in the context of the app, and that everything that we were doing, everything that the app presented and everything that we were doing online on the other different platforms that you obviously market it within was channeling and positioning that story clearly to the prospective users, to the target audience.
So Monash really helped facilitate you finding Cheer Me. Did you ever think that you would be doing something like this, or did Monash sort of encourage you throughout the degree to do similar sort of endeavors?
There was always a push from Monash, from all of the lecturers that I worked with, to go and do more. So I think that Monash is great because the Monash lecturers and tutorials in your regular courses are fantastic because they give you foundational knowledge and they give you and they give you opportunities to be practical, but they give you that foundational knowledge that act as a structure to build upon, and then they give you these opportunities to go out and add more to that. You've got the skill set from Monash already, and as you're learning that skill set, here are all of these. Monash says, here are all these separate things that you can do to not only improve upon that skill set, but to also understand how that skill set fits into the real world. Because there is often, I think, when you learn, you miss sometimes, or there's a bit of a jump that you have to make to go from, okay, this is what the textbook says, this is what the peer-reviewed journal says about, Kepler says X, Y, Z about people. What does that translate to? How do I actually implement that within the real world? And doing these kinds of, whether it's an internship or it's something that you set up, whether it's you do hire or go and buy a set of clothes from overseas and try and flog them off. Those opportunities are really fantastic because they make you learn really quickly. And Monash is really, really good at. So I got I heard of someone, you hear about these mythical figures at Monash, these kind of like, go and find Jane. And it was like, it's like, oh, where's Jane? And you go on your hike, you like send out all the emails and you find Jane, and then Jane goes, or this, whoever it is goes, I need, prove yourself to me, which is what I had to do. I wrote I think I had to write like a who I am and what is my plan for life kind of thing for this person. Sent that across to her, and she was like, right, you need to go do this, you need to go do this. Here are the opportunities I can give you. And of course, I didn't take all of them. There was a select ones, and I was like, I want to do Cheer Me. I worked as well with a company called Darkfield that have shipping containers that use binaural audio to create experiences. They travel all around Australia. They're originally from the UK. You walk into a shipping container and do a seance, or you go and sleep in a coma bed, and you hear these like beautiful, incredible stories play out just in complete darkness, and you can only hear it.
Wow.
They're incredible. And then I also got the opportunity to work with where I work now, which is at Clemenger BBDO. That opportunity came to me through Monash. I met someone by doing these different things. I met someone who worked at Clemenger BBDO and knocked the door down and basically said, this is where I want to be. How do I get here? And Monash and Cheer Me and Darkfield and all of these different people and all these different opportunities that I'd had built that, acted almost as steps, as staircases for me to reach that ultimate goal. And also helped me realize that that's actually where I wanted to be. It's hard to know that end goal if you don't take those practical steps.
Big time.
And see what you are good at and what you are not good at and what you do like and what you don't like.
Just got to get out there and give it a crack.
Yeah, it's really hard to decide if you like, audience segmenting if you don't ever segment an audience.
Yeah, that's quite niche.
Yeah.
So, look, Monash do offer now some great entrepreneur units at the business school. You studied marketing and theatre, but there are options available for future students who want to take up those sort of special entrepreneurship units that are taught by practicing industry experts and entrepreneurs. So it sounds like a fantastic opportunity for those who do want to try and take those steps and find out what works for them. So plenty of opportunities.
I think the really inspiring thing as well is you didn't need to study a specific entrepreneurship unit, and yet Monash still helped you find some great entrepreneurship opportunities.
Well, 100%. And I think that I think that those people, whether you go through the entrepreneurship unit or you go and you seek them out yourself, they both show or reward the same thing, right? So if you're going and doing an entrepreneurship unit, you are showing that you are dedicated to pushing yourself and finding that next step, finding wherever that leads to, and going out and finding those things within the Monash universe as the same thing. It's the same. It's a different pathway with the same eventual goal. I think that if I did 3 degrees, so I didn't have a lot of space by the end of it to fit it all in. But I think that, entrepreneurship units, especially in the ways that they would probably, I imagine they would, or especially in the ways that they would teach you how to go and get what you're looking for. I think that kind of teaching you the drive, teaching you the steps to making those ideals or those goals a reality, I think is a really important skill set to have, not just as a business student or as a student, but as a marketer, but as a person in general post university. I think it's a really excellent skill to have, to know what you want to do, how you, and then to understand how you need to go about doing that. You don't have to be startup, but you don't have to start Twitter. You don't have to be Elon to go and be, to be entrepreneurial. It's just about the skill is about finding your way at the end of the day, self-starting.
Yeah. Well, Alex, that's a great way to sum up the conversation. I think you've made me excited about uni again. I kind of want to go back and do some courses. But we've got 3 final questions to to close out the episode. But for those listening, if you're interested in more information on Monash Business School, head to monash.edu/business/future students. We'll include that in our show notes. Plenty of information there on all the courses, not just in entrepreneurship, but all the courses on offer if you are considering business. So we've got 3 final questions. So Ren, let's kick off with the first.
So Alex, if you're speaking to a student out there who's weighing up their options like you were in year 12, why should they consider business and why should they consider the Monash Business School?
Great question. I initially just wanted to do theatre at Monash. I realised that Monash offering a double degree enabled me to expand upon that skill set. That what is theatre is traditionally like theory and knowledge and thinking and pontificating and what if. Monash Business gave me the posts in the terrain to be able to go, and okay, this is how I apply it, and this is how it applies to the real world. This is what I can do with that information. So now one of the reasons I was, I'm now where I am is because I've got this marketing skill set, and I've got this unique edge which comes from the theatre, which gives me a different point of view. So for me, business is the how that I think any course, regardless of what you're doing in addition or where you want to go, it gives you the how, it gives you the practicality to be able to do what you want to do in the real world.
So second question, what's one thing you wish you knew before you started uni?
I wish I knew how much you learn outside of the room itself. I think that and I guess this goes back again to that entrepreneur, to the internships and to the entrepreneurial courses and that kind of stuff, that you do just absorb so much from meeting different people, experiencing different people, just saying yes to stuff. A lot of my best learning moments, we all have learning moments, positive and negative, that have come from those experiences outside of the classroom, but that were granted to me as a result of having access to that classroom in the first place.
Love that. And then final question, Alex, if you could go back and speak to the St. Mick's attending, white shirt wearing Alex of year 12 studying for his VCE, what's one piece of advice you would give him?
Oh, just don't be such, that whole year 11, dress as like you think. You don't need to. Just chill out a bit, man. I was such a stress head in year 11 and year 12. Take a step back, and I think my advice would be to take a step back and just don't feel like you need to have all the answers straight away is my best bit of advice. Don't feel like you need to know from day one exactly where you want to go, because regardless of where you end up from that, in that initial leap from year 12 from VCE to university, you will find the path that best suits. You will find the path of least resistance for you, what you are drawn to. So just have faith in that journey.
Awesome. Well, Alex, great way to finish. And that does bring us to the end of this episode of What I Wish I Knew about studying business. Hopefully we have answered some of the questions. As Alex just said, don't feel like you need to know the answers to all of them before you start university. We're going to cover plenty more in the rest of this season. But Alex, thank you so much for your time and sharing your journey with all those future students out there who may be feeling a little bit nervous about what's to come, but it's been fantastic. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
If you would like more information, as I said, head to monash.edu/business/future-students. That will be in our show notes. My name's Bryce, and I have been joined by my uni buddy, Alec. See you next time.
Sounds good.